2026, 5:30. Call this city council meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call tonight. We've got Councilor Palmer, Councilor Hill, and myself. The mayor is missing, City Administrator Marcy Peterson, and Deputy Clerk Melanie Bloomquist with staff in attendance in the back. Thanks for being here. Next up, consideration and approval of agenda. Is there any additions or considerations for the agenda? If not, I would look for a motion to approve.
I have a consideration. At the last agenda, we talked about dredging, the way that motion was made in the meeting minutes. I'm wondering if we should take official action on it tonight.
Because of how it was stated in the minutes?
Yeah, so
Okay.
if multiple bids were received, the meeting minutes said that we should take the best qualified bid. So we were concerned about people's margins. If you had multiple bids, how are we justifying the qualified bids if they were professional services? Because of the weird wordage of the motion. So I'm guessing that probably the bids were received and probably want an official answer.
One more. Yeah. Should we add that as 8.2?
Yeah, tomorrow, it's open until tomorrow, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was 7 days.
I think it was posted the day after, so,
Wasn't the last council meeting 2 weeks ago?
oh, yeah.
It got posted a little later,
Oh, okay.
trying to get the wording. correct.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Okay. So it'll be on the next council meeting?
The decision to choose, on who to choose? Yes, I would think it'd be ready by then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of done itself.
Yeah.
Before it was.
Would you like me to make a quick comment on it?
Sure.
The other bid that came in?
Well, we haven't officially opened the council meeting, so have we? Why don't we add it as the topic? Yeah, for discussion.
We'll add 8.2 as what you would call it, dredging update. Okay.
Impossible action.
And possible action. Okay. Any other things for the agenda? Not, I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Kyle. Second by Dave. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public forum. This is opportunity for citizens to present items to the council that are not on the agenda. Each presentation is limited to 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes is set aside. If your item needs follow-up from city staff will arrange for that. Is anyone here for public forum?
Just go up to the podium.
Step to the podium and give us your name and, well, probably not your address, but
Not necessarily. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, correct? Is that the right term? Deputy. Okay. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Andy Schrader, Chief Building Official with Rumberger Consultants, your contracted building official. Appreciate the time. I know 3 minutes. I'll make the most of it. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I wanted to take just a few moments to address 2 situations that came to our attention recently. One is the unfortunate clerical error of a commercial plan review, and the other is the subject of fees. A plan review report generated for an addition at 1225 Main Street was a topic of conversation at a recent council meeting, and I wanted to revisit the situation and provide the necessary clarity and content. In this review, a plans examiner inadvertently used an old template showing incorrect contact information for city staff. While unfortunate, the council conversation was limited to the first page of the document and did not explore the rest of the 5-page document, which correctly covers complex code issues and demonstrates exceptional value in their contracted service arrangement. Mr. Patch was assigned as the plans examiner and has several decades of experience. That was unfortunately glazed over with only the one topic of interest commented on was the incorrect reference on page 1. This shows we're all human after all, and the mistake was fixed almost immediately after it was brought to our attention by staff. During the same council meeting, I was referred to as Mr. Snyder. whereas my name is Schrader. A simple example of the fact that mistakes are made, and when they are so minor in nature, we need to identify them and quickly move on. I printed copies for your review if you care to explore the rest of the plenary report. It correctly references Minnesota State Building Code as well as fire code provisions that are critical to the life safety aspects for this, for the assembly and educational occupancy of this building. Secondly, there was a conversation at a recent council meeting regarding fees. I wanted to remind everyone that if a comparison is desired to neighboring cities, it's imperative that all aspects of the departments and services are used in that comparison. Using fees alone causes tunnel vision and does not take into account all of the other factors that influence the fees necessary to support these services and processes. Staffing levels, delegation authority, technologies utilized, vehicles, insurance, other operating expenses, experience of code officials, continued professional development, benefits, and required coverages mandated by state, to name a few, must also be included in any comparison to avoid a lopsided or inaccurate impression of the department structure and associated fees. I can assure you Rum River is not getting rich on the set fees that were referenced. In fact, those fees that are currently in Pine City, often below those, often would result in subsidies from some other source, as it takes time and resources to fulfill the requirements outlined by city code and the state of Minnesota. When examining the resources required for permit administration, please consider the fact that this involves both administrative as well as field staff. When these are added together, it quickly is apparent that the fees referenced for residential maintenance permits were simply too low in that other jurisdiction. Staff time and resources, whether in-house or contracted, quickly adds up. So please consider all of the needs to hire, keep qualified staff to help this community in these important life safety aspects. We welcome the opportunity to participate in a future work session to explore the why behind the what for building code safety administration, including fees that are commensurate with the services that are required. Thank you for letting me get that to you. I'm available if there's any questions now or in the future. And I did make a couple of copies of that report. I'd like to hand them out if I could. So please look at the rest of the report. It is a lot more in depth than the conversation first. Thank you, sir. I'll leave one here for Mayor. Thank you. Thanks, Marcy.
Thank you.
That was all I had. Thank you.
Second call for public forum. I'll make a third and final call for public forum. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public forum and move on to item 5.1, sheriff update. I don't see a deputy here this evening.
No, I don't.
Council, any comments or concerns for the record on the sheriff's report?
Yeah. What are we getting for our dollar? $300,000 and we can't even get a report. What happened on the contract talks tonight? I mean,
It went very well. We all received a 2-year contract from the sheriff's office. There's some notable changes that we are documenting currently, and we'll bring that forward as discussion items for council. So the 3 cities will be bringing forward the same document to each of our councils for you to see the changes in the contract and our thoughts on it, and then have it open for discussion.
and you were talking a 2-year contract?
It is a 2-year,
He's up for election. He's not running.
correct.
But I'm not for that. I guess when his contract is up, then we start with a new contract with somebody else. That's my.
Close you on a future agenda.
Yes, I believe it should be ready for the next one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on the sheriff's update? If not, we'll move on to the planning engineering 6.1, our request for council action, federated variance. Tab, take us away.
Federated Co-op has applied for a 0-foot rear yard setback variance from the west property line at 325 3rd Street Southeast. The property is zoned as TI1 Limited Technology Industrial and is also within the Shortland District. The proposed building would be placed on existing gravel and would not increase the impervious space coverage, which currently exceeds the 25% limit, but it's not increased by this project. The rear yard setback requirement is 10 feet, and meeting the standard setback would reduce maneuvering space to 22 feet between the structure and the existing fenced fuel containment area. This would be inadequate for safe turning and operation of fuel tanker trucks. Locating the structure farther east would also interfere with the primary entrance and exit, potentially creating safety issues in the winter. The DNR has reviewed this and has no concerns with this, and the recommendation from Planning Commission is to consider approving the 10-foot rear yard setback variance and ensure any new lighting complies with city standards.
Thank you very much. Council, comments, questions?
I guess I just have a question for our fire and life and possibly our fire chief. How do you guys feel about this? Any concerns?
I mean, this is very preliminary, without actually. The only thing that I see along the way is the limitation of being able to fight a fire if it's there, because may or may not be able to stand on the railroad trail right away.
Yeah.
Again, without having a, I understand it's supposed to be like a covered roof or a lean-to type thing. I don't know that it's, gonna be much of an issue, but I guess I would have to agree with Adam, and until you see complete drawing, if you will, or plan, I don't know that it would be an issue. I mean, it's gonna have covered gable ends. Is it gonna be open? Is it gonna be closed ceiling? Is it just open truss? I'm envisioning an open truss, but I've envisioned things incorrectly before.
The plans that were supplied, we've kind of been going through this process with them since November, and it's been a pretty tough situation going through this, and Andy with Rum River has been involved, the railroad has been involved. We've had a lot of conversations on this one.
Did the railroad say yay or nay, or?
They pretty much just said, do not build on railroad property.
Well,
Because they were trying to actually build outside of their, so their fence actually already goes over the property line, and they have a cement slab that goes over the property line. And the emails with the railroad, they were not in favor of it at all to begin with. And they actually told them that if they continue to proceed this, they're gonna force Federated to remove all of their stuff from their property.
Yeah, silo based, that's part way on railroad property. That was one of the things we discussed at Planning Commission, is that in the legal description, and nowhere does it exist that there's any sort of easement that's been given for that to be built on railroad property to begin with. Was it a handshake deal back in the day, but it's not recorded and it's not in title words, so that isn't necessarily on the city, but again, it's not building on their property.
Well, I was the general manager of the facility when we did that.
Bless you.
Yeah, things weren't measured, I don't think, as well as they should have. I wasn't in charge of the project, it's just that facility was under my control. The general manager and the cooperative themselves, board of directors, decided that that's what they wanted to do, so that's what they did. They put that silo there. We kind of knew it wasn't on our property.
The only other discussion point that I have on this is that there's precedent in the past when we've made these sorts of exceptions, that there's letters of support that come from neighboring property owners. And I don't know that this was, if we have that from the railroad, we need that from the railroad to stay consistent.
I reached out multiple times and asked, and that is the only email that I ever received back, was they are not allowed to build on railroad property. That is all I ever received.
What about the adjacent properties to that, across the street?
A letter went out to all property owners within 350 feet of this, and I did not receive any contact from absolutely anybody.
And there was no one at the public hearing.
No.
They indicate to you, Tabitha, that they were, whatever, but I guess there's no final plan. Is that what I understood?
No,
Okay, so, but they indicated you, at all that, they were gonna make sure that it was built on their property and not the railroad property?
so so part of the variance application is that they have to provide a site plan survey. And even with speaking with Andy on this, he also wanted it as well, and so we told them that they had to provide it. They tried not to. It was kind of a little bit of a fiasco, but we did get a site plan survey. And it's got it right on the property line.
Are you allowed to require the final drawing before council approves this?
If council chooses to do that, they
Okay.
can.
Like the motion that we want a final drawing.
Got a motion from Dave to see a final drawing before approval of the variance.
I'll second it.
Second from Kyle. Is there any further discussion?
Can I ask final drawing, like the structural drawings, or what kind of drawing would you like?
Well, we want a final drawing that we know that it's definitely on their property and not, we're not gonna issue a variance on the railroad property.
The site plan does have that. It has it right on the property line. I did get that. I didn't get actual structural for the building.
And where did you get proof of that?
They
Where'd you get
had,
proof that it was on, did they survey it or survey?
yes, it was surveyed by Atlas Land Surveying.
Andy, did you have a comment?
If I might, I can maybe help a little bit with the conversation. Let me do it from here or there.
Give it the podium.
Probably the podium, because the
No, we can see it.
people that are watching or listening cannot hear with the crowd in there.
Okay, thank you for that, Mayor and Council. So a couple of pieces to this. Licensed design professionals are required for a number of different aspects and types of projects and scopes of work. In this case, you're talking about licensed surveying, licensed architecture, and licensed structural components to this. There are some exceptions to those rules, of course. In this case, the storage type of structure doesn't require structural engineering or architecture per se, because it's a low impact building. It's a storage building with a roof, and there really isn't much impact to that. The survey, however, the licensed design professional, the surveyor, is still going to be required to be in place to actually have a licensed surveyor identify exactly where that building is to be proposed. The interesting part of this is that the proposal is to be less than the required setback. Building code requires a setback, I believe it was 5 feet in this instance, because of the proximity to a property line. Now, there's always exceptions and things of that nature, of course, and that's why we're working closely to make sure that you can respond in an event of an emergency to all sides of this building in order to allow that lesser setback. Because this is a utility building, a storage building with no walls on it, I think that's where we perhaps have some discretion here on the regards of that aspect of it. The structural components are not required, so I looked at a hand drawing. The trusses, of course, are engineered, but the actual bracing of the wall and everything else is typical to a post frame type building. And I'm very comfortable with the way these things are designed and built, to the point where we don't need a structural engineer to certify those plans. Architecture likewise isn't required because it's a U, it's an S, it's a pretty simple building. It's not like the Civic Center or anything else where you have exiting components and things like that that require the review of the plans by an architect. So I hope that's helpful to you, and this is still under review by fire and by building to make sure that the necessary proposal is going to be accepted. So there's 3 prongs here: fire, building, and council elected officials. Is that a fair way to say it?
Okay, so, and you're not positive that you can gain access to the rear of the building? Is that your question, Tom?
I'm just saying, without knowing if it's gonna be open or not, if you're not, you know, you may or may not be able to be on the railroad. I don't know where the fire's gonna be in this. So I think it's just, this is an open.
We know.
That's the verbal that's the information I got verbally, that was a roof. And that was it, that there were no walls.
We've been told it's a three-walled structure, it's a no-walled structure, so that's another reason why we have a plan.
Yeah,
Correct. So
might have
those plans that we need to make an informed decision, in my opinion, don't necessarily need to be approved by a licensed design professional, an architect or an engineer. Personally, I would entertain drawings that are drawn by somebody with a straight edge and a pencil. If they can clearly illustrate what's going to be built, and then by a surveyor where it's going to be built, we should have enough information to make that decision. So the drawings, I guess what I'm saying is the drawings that you're requesting and that we'll make sure you get are not going to be architectural drawings. They will clearly depict what's being built and where, but it's not going to be a drafted plan necessarily. I would anticipate, Tabitha, it's probably going to be hand drawn. That's what I would anticipate the level of clarity that we would get, which is certainly acceptable to make a decision in this case. But just don't think that we're going to get some 3D drawing or anything like that, because I don't think that would be anticipated by the applicant.
I don't think we're asking for that, Andy. I think we're asking to see for sure if it's on the line or wherever they're saying it's going to be. Show us a picture of that and show us a picture of what the building's going to look like. We don't care if it's architecturally drawn.
Okay.
We just,
Excellent. I just want to prepare us for that.
well, that's kind of what I said. I don't, I just think we need some plans. What them plans are. We have to.
Well, I can work with
You're the
them
one
too.
that has to accept them. We don't have.
Right. And like we just said, council approval, fire approval, and building approval. I only have so many boxes to check. From a structural integrity standpoint, I don't have as many concerns as fire is going to have as far as getting access to that building, because once it's built, I don't need to get back there.
It just sounds like we have some unknowns that I would like to have answered before granting the variance, because I'm just worried about a safety concern here.
That's fair.
Property use.
Right.
So the survey site plan tab, was that a surveyor sign off on that, or was it an altered survey?
It was a survey sign off
Okay,
by
so,
Josh Schneider.
so if a licensed designer professional, a surveyor has been out there, he can stake the lot. So if this did move forward, we'd be able to definitively say, here's the line and here's the building. So that piece would absolutely be 100% done by a licensed surveyor and not just an altered survey.
Looks like there's rebar and cap on all four corners. So it's all monumented.
Okay.
It's
So they can stake it. So we have something to measure from.
But we don't know if the building's completely closed in on three sides or.
Right. I don't know that's a great question. I don't know for sure what final design they settled on. At one point, it was simply a roof. Just to shed water and keep the sun off of the equipment. I don't know if it included any wall enclosure at all. At least not what I heard.
I don't want to tie Tom's hands as far as having to take care of it. So I agree with Mr. Palmer. We need more information.
In the discussion of this motion too, one of the things that so they build this building and say it even ends up a foot off of the property line. The railroad can come back and say your fence is 14.8 feet over on one end and 9.3 feet over on the other end. We want the fence back onto the property line. Right?
I believe that's a separate issue.
Railroad definitely can do that.
There's
yes.
nothing in place that says that fence line is allowed to be there. It's not in the legal description. It's not in the titling work. So now if we have a foot between the property line, we got to move that fence. We got to try to cram a fence in a 1 foot property line and still be able to get to the back side of it for fire and life. It's the question that I had to. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
So do we need clarification on what the drawings are?
More than likely, an acceptable. I mean, if it's acceptable to building, drawing that's acceptable to building and planning. Help me with words.
And building, planning, and fire.
And fire.
Building, planning, and fire. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, on to item 7, consent items. Look for a motion to approve consent items unless there's any discussion points.
I just had one question. The liquor store AC replacement, is that replaced? We had two
at one point, right? Are you replacing the one or the second one that went out so that you have two back up and going?
Right, we're
Okay.
replacing the one that went out last fall, so that we'll have two back up and running.
Perfect. Then I will make the motion that we approve the consent items.
Got a motion from Mr. Palmer,
I'll second.
second from Mr. Hill. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, on to 8.1, trail update from Mr. Sloan.
Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. What I want to do first is provide you with a map so we can refresh our memories in terms of where we're talking exactly. So as you look at the map, we're talking about the gold line that's on the map. And at the southern part of the drawing, that's the existing trail that comes out to Culligan, down to the Dairy Queen, and heads back to the trailer park toward Pine Tech. So the gold line from that point where we enter Pine Tech is in gold and extends all the way down to Robinson Park. Now I've added a couple other lines there. The red line indicates the part of Railroad Street, and the county has helped us out and surveyed that. If you've been along Railroad Street and behind the fire hall and the library, there are stakes there indicating the boundary between the railroad property and that owned by the city. At one point, we were talking about making Railroad Street a one-way street and having the trail a portion of the street. Seeing where the stakes are at, I think we have adequate space to actually put the trail beside the road and extend it on down to Robinson Park. The black line there indicates the potential line through Pine Tech. I had a very positive conversation with President Joe Mulford. He wanted to add some aesthetically pleasing ideas to that. So where it starts on 8th Avenue, moving south, we would go from the north driveway boundary on the west side and angle the trail toward the main entrance of the college. And from there, we need to angle back to the east to go around the remainder of the college and the new buildings that have been built there. As I said earlier, the county did the survey along Railroad Street and is indicated there. We also have accessed the latest survey that was done on Pine Technical College's land. I believe it's 2 or 3 years old. So we have that to just verify that we are not encroaching on the railroad there again. Working with Mark LeBrun, Aaron Anderson with the county engineer's office.
Gunderson.
Thank you. Thank you. We've had a lot of discussion going back and forth. I think some of us thought that the county was saying, yeah, we'll build it. They've got the expertise. They've gone out for the federal and state grants in the past, excuse me, and said that they would be willing to help in that process. One thing or another, as we looked at what the options were with this, the decision was made that we don't want to go that route. We could do it more cheaply, inexpensively, by simply doing it ourselves. It still needs engineering. It still needs, the formal plan. There would be some dirt work, paving, and so on. That's all a part of this. So, boiling it all down, we're at the point that we need some numbers. We need something that I can bring to you and say, are you willing to commit? And so that's the point that we're at. Rough estimates. This is not engineered numbers or anything. We're looking at somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000. And then we're also looking at engineering. And still, there's some leeway there. There's some uncertainty. If we're looking at a formal engineering plan, we're looking at potentially 15%. maybe as low as 10%. In my discussion then with Greg Anderson, he is basically saying, you know, we did a major part of this previously. We've got the base work there. He thought within weeks they could get a formal plan that was ready for bids. Now, $500,000 plus engineering in Pine Tech. The college is willing to share in the cost. We have not talked specifically what that sharing is or what that involves, but they're sharing there. I think we're looking at a level course over most of this. It shouldn't be very difficult with dirt work and engineering or paving to make this happen. Now, other potential sources, the county is willing to assist with other in-kind assistance with this. Part of the engineering, or at least preliminary engineering on this, and other unforeseen things that they would be able to provide at no cost. The county also has recently approved a minor assistance to cities and townships for parks, trails, that is listed at $25,000. The initiative fund currently has approximately $20,000 to $25,000 that they have not granted for this year. That's potential, as well as other charitable donations or individuals that might assist in the process. But to get specifics, to move forward, we need council approval to say, yes, we're committed to this project.
I have a question.
Yes.
So with the route that the Gold Line follows, I mean, do we have permission to put in a pathway along that stretch, or are we gonna have to look at getting easements or consent or?
As I indicated, Joe Mulford is totally on board. He, I have not seen the document, but he's gone to other state agencies. There's a form that would show our agreement, shared agreement in terms of building, maintaining the trail there. So,
like down Railroad Road, the right of way of the railroad goes basically up to the asphalt, correct?
no, if you look at the stakes, I'm estimating for most of it, there's more than 10 feet.
Okay.
So that's my opinion. We'd have to have the actual measurements and look at that process.
Okay.
I'm just curious why the change from the county driving the bus for grant funding to now we have to commit to the fund. Because they're moving this along and moving this along, and the last meeting with the county was, we got it, we've got access to grants, we're gonna help you get it done. We moved forward, we voted for the things that we needed to vote for, and now they're not gonna apply for the grants and we have to fund this?
This is a city project, and maybe one of the things that we heard was, you know, yeah, we want to get this done and help you do that. But what we weren't hearing is it's still a city project. The city needs to take responsibility for this. They were willing to apply for the grants, potentially receiving those grants, but the matching part, the remaining part of that was still city. And the discussion is that we can do it more cheaply without jumping through the hoops that would be required by a federal or state grant.
Just my opinion, but I don't know how we come up with $400,000 to $500,000 for anything at this point in the game. It's June.
This time of year, I think it would be a hard push. I think at any point it would be a hard push. Now you outlined a couple of grant possibilities. It would be nice to know more grant opportunities and what Pine Tech might be interested in. But the other question I got to ask myself, we're going to get into a wish list of a lot of good things. I don't think we can grant all of those, but do those items grant more value to the taxpayers, or does this project grant more value to the taxpayers? I don't know how to measure how this provides a critical service for the taxpayers. I believe walking and being out on a pathway through town is valuable, but will this increase business opportunities? Does it increase property values? How do we measure that to invest almost $500,000 into the project?
Now, most of this goes down 9th Street, right? The gold line you got. Along 9th Street, right?
Railroad Street.
Excuse me, Railroad Street, I mean. I got 9th Street on my mind. That needs to be done too. My thoughts are this. 2 years ago, we changed the mill and overlay that we were going to do on Railroad Street, and we put that money into 13th or 14th. What is that up going out there? I'm going out the freeway. And I can't remember the money that we had committed to railroad. Was it 100, 150 grand?
I don't recall.
Somewhere
180.
180, so that was close. I thought it was upwards of 200. Well, now it would be 200,000. And we looked at that street and we thought that it wasn't near as bad as the washed out one going out towards the freeway. So we cashed in. My thoughts are this: we're going in the budget. I'd love to see Greg at some point. Is he coming to our meetings anymore, or we just only when we need him?
When we need them, yeah, because we do pay for him.
Okay, and I understand that. I think that's a good idea. I think we maybe during part of this budget process, we need to get him in here because we have nothing on the future sites as far as what we're going to do on street reconstruction. If we got to do 9th, and it is got some areas that are breaking up, and I don't know how much time Jason's had to look at it, but any of these potential projects. But I think as a council, I think we have to take some time to put that back on the drawing board. We can't just hope that all these streets are going to hold up forever until we have time to deal with it. So I think we need to make that needs to be part of the budget process, just to look forward and potentially, if we gotta spend a couple $100,000 to do 9th anyway, what's a little bit more to throw an extra wide roof on there for the bike or for the walking trail? So that would take care of that major part. And the rest of the part behind the fire hall, is that strip going through there? Is that on our property or the railroad? Or are we gonna have to get easements from the railroad on that one?
The stakes indicate the boundary between railroad and city.
Okay. So go ahead.
I think the stakes that are behind the fire hall by the water tower area. We vacated that portion of Railroad Street. And I don't think the markings that they done surveyed with, I don't think that the markings formed in that building.
Been on 8th and Railroad. We have a full easement in Railroad because of that.
Right.
And I still love that if it's gonna go by the fire hall, I still.
Does that take part of your radius away when you turn in?
It could increase the type of personnel that frequent that area. If you have a bunch of little kids on bikes and you have really fast going fire trucks in the winter in the dark, it might create a safety hazard. You might need a fence.
Those are all things that can be part of the plan.
Yeah, I think they can.
What happens if in the bonding bill that just passed, if our 4th Street Southeast project, and then we're redoing 4th Street from Dairy Queen all the way to the fire station? Can we move the trail over to 4th like it is now? Because Greg put in an application for that, I believe we gave him.
I've been watching. I haven't seen any of that funding finalized, so.
I don't know if it ought to be picked or not, but.
No, I mean, the packaging process hasn't been finished, so.
I guess it just kind of goes back to the fact that it seems like a really awesome idea, but it's a big ticket item, and we don't know where we sit with grants, and we don't know where we sit with Pine Tech. And before I fully commit to something, it would be nice to know, are we paying 500,000, 400,000, or 150,000? Especially when I have to go back and tell department heads, I might have to cut what equipment they can have for the services that they provide to the taxpayers. So right now, it seems like there's, again, some uncertainties, and exactly if the county measurements are precise or not, there's some question there in my head. It'd be nice to have a little bit more information, and then how do we measure that that is providing a service that justifies that investment?
To that last point, I'm not sure we have a measurement tool that's going to tell us exactly that. I think if you go out on Cross Lake Road and look at the trail there, or south on the trail that goes to Rock Creek, the number of people that you see daily would be maybe your answer.
Jim's got a good point. I've gone around Cross Lake several times now, and early in the morning or late in the evening, and it's well used. I know when the trail does get finished between the Twin Ports and Duluth, and the Twin Cities, it's going to be a win-win for Pine City, and we got to try to help that happen at some point. I think this is doable. I don't know how we're going to do it. I think we need to. This needs to be part of what we have to redo. We have to redo Railroad Street anyway. We know that eventually, and so I think it's doable. That part. It'd be nice to have Greg here probably the next month's meeting, and then look at the whole. I think we need to take some time and look at some other areas of town and start planning a few years ahead of what projects we need to look at. I think we got. And then, of course, we know we got the wish list. So, but I don't know if approving it tonight's we'd be able to do that without knowing exactly what everybody else is gonna throw into the kitty.
Well, for me, like I said, this project has been moving forward with trajectory that it's going to be grants and there's going to be funding, and we're going to have help seeking that funding. And as of tonight, just learning that now we have to fund it all ourselves. That's a big shift for me, and it's not
okay. I guess let me address that. In the process of applying for grants, there has to be matching funds, especially with federal grants. There's certain wage requirements. There's certain specifications. They're going to make the whole process more expensive. And the professional advice I've received from the county engineers, from Greg Anderson, is that you can do it just as cheaply or cheaper without going through that process.
Well, prevailing wage is just, that's tied to federal money. You just have to pay prevailing wage, but it's a little bit easier to come up with matching money for free money than it is to try. I'm just saying, again, this is all brand new.
Okay.
Like 400,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Again, just the funding model itself was to be potentially grants with match included, not we're not going to have any grants and we have to pay all the money. And yes, I understand it's less expensive, but is it?
Is your direction to apply for those federal and state grants?
I can't give direction by myself. I'm just talking.
Even if you went that direction, though, I'm guessing that they want some kind of percentage for match, correct?
Absolutely.
Do we know what that percentage is?
The alternative transportation federal grant is a 20% match. I'm unfamiliar with what the state grant match would be, but there's a commitment there.
And if we went that direction, do you think it would still be in that 550, or do you think it'd be double?
I'm not the expert in terms of that. The numbers I'm getting from the engineers are saying it would probably be double that. I guess so that we know some of the uncertainties here. I mean, I agree. What's the college going to be willing to contribute? You know, what have we got in terms of other charities that might step up and provide some funds for this? We need to have some specific in terms of what the actual costs are, not just taking a number out of the hat. And until we do the formal engineering, we don't know that.
And I know this isn't the same project, but the railroad crossing, where are we at with that right now? I knew it was close. I heard some scuttlebutt, but I wasn't sure. So we kind of got a pretty good idea on our dollars involved in that.
It's that short section.
Right, well, there's a little more complication to that because of the tracks, but this is a little different because there's no tracks, but I was just hoping that hadn't escalated beyond what we had. I don't know what the answer is. I wish Greg was here. It'd be nice to ask him some questions.
Greg would be nice, but right now it seems kind of like we're stuck in a point where it's kind of an all or nothing kind of deal. I don't know the other factors, and if you're asking for commitment of $550,000, I can't do that because I don't know where we get it from. Unless you got a magic pocketbook over there, Nicole. Yeah. Yeah. Really heard the sound good.
Well,
we get into an endless loop, but we've got all those variables out there. You know, what are they? We need the engineering plans that give us a specific amount. We can negotiate with the college. We can apply for local charity grants, but until we have those specifics, you can't apply for any of those things. It's pointless to talk to Joe, you know, if we're not going to at least engineer things and know what we're talking about.
so you would be, at the very least, you would be looking for funds to cover the engineering. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
What
And Greg is indicating it's probably going to be less than the, you know, anticipated amount because a lot of it's already been done when we brought this proposal forward before.
Did he give us give you any indication what that amount was? Yeah. The total engineering.
Well, typically 10% of the project.
No, you're asking the total cost.
Yeah.
It was not. No, he did not give.
That's what I wish you would do.
Is that an in-kind service that the county could provide, the engineering portion?
They can do a portion of it, but professional engineering has to do the final. I mean, and the county is the same point. Until there's some commitment by the city, they're going to just turn their backs and go the other way, look for something else.
So I think it would be important to meet again because I've only heard this from Jim. I haven't heard anything from the county. And at the last meeting I attended, when we were all present, the county was running with this. So I do think it's important that we talk directly with the county and with the college to see, because if we as a city can get exact numbers of we need a $400,000 or $500,000 commitment, I don't understand why then the college couldn't make an exact commitment as well. And so I feel like there needs to be much more discussion because this kind of just appeared just now. So I have not talked with the county at all since that last meeting, which told me they were running with it. So I have a lot of confusion as well.
The other part, depending on if we do it in-house or we go through federal funds, we kind of are hypothesizing that it could be anywhere from 10% to 15% for engineering plans.
Correct.
So you could be looking at anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 for engineering plans. Is that correct?
If you were working with 500,000?
Yeah. Yeah. depending on which area you
So
went.
you're looking at 50 to 75,000.
If it was 500,000, if the engineer
Right.
came back and said you should do federal funding, we could be looking at 150,000.
Sure, okay, yeah,
So no matter what, under that situation, if it's gonna be city funds, I think we have to go out for RFP regardless. Or come up with an RFP. It can't just be Greg. We'd have to put it out to a couple different engineering firms and see who's apples to apples. So I do like the idea of talking to the county, but I think even along those routes, if we're gonna even consider it, we gotta consider an RFP to see what an RFP would cost for engineering plan. Is it 50,000? Maybe that's doable. Is it 150,000, 200,000 just for the engineering plan? Might be getting way down the rabbit hole at that point.
Yeah, we can say yay or nay at that point.
But we don't even know what the engineering cost is gonna be at this point. We're just speculating at this point. I don't know. Do we wanna go out for RFP? Do we wanna talk to the county, or?
I would like to get clarity from the county too,
I think that's a really good idea.
It's just,
because this is definitely a left turn from what I was, from the last meeting we had. They were running with it.
well, apparently we got a commitment. We don't know what that is from Pine Tech, but we don't know on the county now. We're gray area now again.
Yes, and that Pine Tech is probably also gonna want an RFP for
Right.
engineering services. And if we had numbers, we might get charitable grants to help with the engineering plans. It is a possibility. I say that we would talk to the county, if possible, by the next council meeting, and then decide on whether or not we wanna put out for RFP for engineering plans to get actual numbers on either direction, either the smaller option of 500,000 ballpark or the federal funds that we have to apply match dollars. And that would give all the parties kind of an idea on what direction to go in my mind.
Because was it the county that gave you the $400,000 to $500,000 price? Where'd this come from?
that's what, yeah, that came from the county
Okay.
and Greg verified that amount.
I think that's fair. I think we're just kicking it down for a couple of weeks. We have our middle one, so. Would that work for you, Jim? I mean,
Well, I guess I was hoping for a little bit more commitment, that we're moving forward.
I think we've been fairly committed to this project since it was brought forward, even before I was elected.
well, I mean, we're doing the railroad crossing, and I think that's a valuable piece of this whole thing. So I'm committed to this. I can tell you that right now. How we do it is another thing. But I'm also cognizant of the fact we have other bills to pay, and we can't just commit everything to Park and Rec. We have obligations that we need to provide for the citizens, like law enforcement and fire protection and stuff, and that comes first. So this is a valuable piece of economics for our area. I think just seeing how the people are using the areas that we have now, and you're right, they are using them. And we're gonna get more people coming into the area using them. They come in there, they're gonna spend money. So we need to, I wanna see this thing move forward. But I think Railroad Street resurfacing could be a part of it. Maybe we could get that part of the grant. That would save us some money too, I guess. That would be okay, but
There could be some possibilities. It's
Yeah.
just kind of need numbers, and I'm on board with committing to it, but I don't want to commit to it with a blank check. I'd like to know how much the check is gonna be and then have that discussion.
Okay,
Keeping our current budget in mind as well.
I will speak with Greg Anderson.
Oh, no, moving forward,
Well,
I bring the questions to Greg Anderson. If you have questions for him, I'll gladly, because he reached out to me today too, so, and let me know that you're reaching out to him directly. So, because we get billed for speaking with him. So moving forward, if you can direct your questions to me, I'll get them to Greg.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Let's keep all of it in one area so we're not confused. We don't need that.
Is this something that we can make a motion to bring back to the next council meeting? Would that be enough time to talk to the council or to talk to the county?
yeah, I would like to bring the school into it and find out what is their desired commitment, because if we need to give a commitment, I would think they'd be able to get a commitment, so.
you gonna word that motion?
I guess I would make the motion that we bring this back to the next council meeting after talking to the county, to get more information, and also talking to Pine Tech to see what they might be interested in committing to the project. Okay.
Motion from Kyle. Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second.
Second from Dave. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Jim,
Thank
I
you
want
very
to thank you
much.
for all your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
9.1, 2027 budget
Oh,
plan.
no, 8.2 dredging.
Sorry, 8.2 dredging. Sorry, I'm too. 8.2 dredging. Update possible action.
You like up there?
Yes, please.
I'm gonna bring this up at this time, and it's not criticism, but I think everybody that talks, and I understand Tabitha's situation, but I've got a couple complaints in the last couple of weeks about people talking from their seats. The people listening and watching cannot hear them, or it cuts in and out. So yes, we need to go to the podium.
Yes, sir. So, our first bid, do you have the price on that first original bid that we were proposed if we don't find a better price or a more suited, how is that one worded?
Well, can I
Qualified,
just
thank you.
read it just
Yeah.
for the record?
Yep.
So Counselor Swanson made the motion to approve the dredging with the condition that the project be advertised for 7 days to solicit additional bids. If no other bids are received, the city may proceed with the current bid. If additional bids are submitted, the project should be awarded based on the best quality bid. Counselor Hill seconded the motion carried unanimously.
And then Tabitha, what was the date that was published for?
Yes. Wednesday.
Okay, so that would leave, I believe that would leave it open through today, and tomorrow it would be closed. I reached out to other companies in the Midwest. I believe it was 3 that responded, 2 that gave me a response saying that they do that type of work. One of them, and both of them, I reached out to, 2 of the 3 I reached out to about when it was posted to let them know that, hey, you know, this is open now. Here's the link for what we're looking for. And one of them did not respond. One of them said that they don't do that type of work that extensive with excavators. And then we got one other bid that came in today. That bid came in at $123,000. And the original bid came in at
11,600. And so the only question I have in there is that when we last talked, we wanted to make sure that we weren't just getting the mom and pop operation with a pontoon that would come in for $100 and do it.
Yes, sir.
So we put in there the quality in there. So how do we know that the quality of the lower bid justifies the cost over the higher bid? In my mind, I would like to go with the cheaper bid, but it's just how the motion is worded. Yeah, I mean, because by last meeting's justification, we don't want to go with the cheapest bid. So does that mean now we want to go with the 110,000? Probably not. Please no.
So this equipment that the first bidder was using a floating excavator, correct?
Yeah.
And that's the same piece of well, I can't say the same piece of equipment because I haven't physically seen it, but he explained he had a floating excavator. So wording wise, he has the same piece of equipment to do the same job, and that was the price difference. This company's name is Midwest Amphibious Equipment.
So with the bid being open until tomorrow or Friday?
It was today, I guess.
Today. So technically, at a council meeting, we would have to make the decision. Because that's what the procurement says, that we have to make a council decision. When I was saying that, somebody else was saying something about what's going on right now. So it hasn't been dredged already, has it?
No.
Okay. So at the next council meeting, we're gonna be bringing this back for a discussion item to vote on whether we go for 11,600 or 110,000, or possibly if somebody else gets it in before midnight. Yeah, correct.
Ending, there's not another one.
The challenge again is that the bid process is still open, right? So how do we improve it when we made the motion to put it out for 7 days?
May I just ask a quick question, just so I understand the process? Was I technically even allowed to explain this bid at this time with the bid still being open?
Probably not, but we kind of
Okay.
screwed this one up from the get-go.
So, sorry, I'm learning the process.
But it's just how the motion was made. How do we correct the motion mid-bid, right? Are we gonna overrule the bid? Because this kind of seems like we need to bring it back to the next council meeting to have a discussion, or have a special council meeting after the bid is closed to make a decision.
We can wait.
Is there any danger waiting until the next, is there,
Not looking like it's gonna rain.
No, and we also, I stopped by, when this guy gave me the bid today, I met him at the job site and visually showed him what we were looking to do. And that, culvert is plugged up by a beaver again, so we have to get an excavator out there to yank a tire through and open up that culvert again anyways.
It's nice that those beavers are creating job security.
Yeah.
For subcontractors.
So I know it's annoying, but these are kind of the fine details, transparency. It's been a history in the past. The council has done one thing and kind of interpreted it a different way to allow things to go through. And I really like to get away from that, because those items are coming back to bless us over and over and over again. But I think that this one is going to have to come back to the next council meeting unless you want to have a special council meeting. But if this would have went out right after the last council meeting, you would have been able to have a definitive answer tonight. That would have been really awesome, right? Now we got to wait another 2 weeks. That kind of stinks, right?
What kind of mechanism do we have in place to accept one before midnight? Do they just have to get it in the form of an email to you? Or?
But again, it's just the way that we worded it, because we were worried about having really crap service come in and try and outbid somebody. I'm gonna just be frank about it. So now that the fact that it has quality in there, we have to bring it back to the council for a decision. If you would have just had one bid, like we originally thought that there was nobody else out there, then we wouldn't have had to worry about it. Now we're kind of in this predicament.
So to solve this question of the quality, would you need us to contact their references and get that and lay that out for you? Is that what you're asking?
and almost.
I'm just
read
trying
that
to get
like
an
a-
understanding of
And
this.
almost like a recommendation, so. I think would be the best.
Okay. And I can get that. Okay, if you work with Waterways, I'll work with Amphibious, and I know they already laid out references in their bid, so I'll be able to have easy contacts for reaching out.
So I don't want to just keep beating the horse down, but if we're gonna do these kind of things, let's just get on top of them so we don't have to wait. And let's just make sure our motions are dialed in. Let's make sure that we're getting all the information. Then we don't have to delay anything, because I gotta believe this is super frustrating, keep kicking this can down the road for another 2 weeks. So.
Sounds good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Anything else on 8.2? If not, moving on to 9.1, budget planning wish lists. There's been a request to keep this, I think we should try to keep this on a 30,000 foot view as best as we can, and not get too far in the weeds tonight. But with that being said, let's discuss.
I do really enjoy the wish list. I want to point out Parks and the deputy clerk for throwing in some numbers. Really appreciate that. The rest of you are all going to get put on the spot. So You wanna just go right for the first list?
Sure.
Are you sure you wanna do the podium?
Just have to. I will say I don't have fees on there. I reached out and I have not gotten them back. Still to this day, still have not gotten them back.
Tell me about the multiple department vehicle.
It has been discussed, so when I have to go out to a site, whether it's a construction site or do a code enforcement, I will say I'm not comfortable driving my personal vehicle. I don't know who I'm going out, and especially if it's a code enforcement issue, so I tend to have to ask. Public Works has gone with me. I've had to ask Adam to come with me or drive me, take me. So it's just kind of been discussed a few different times about possibly having a multi-department use vehicle to go out to different places, and especially code enforcement. I'm not so much worried about construction sites, but code enforcement.
So would it be kind of like a second vehicle, kind of like Adams right now, or maybe not quite the police kind of style?
Not the police kind of style, just more or less, at least for me, it would be able to be, I would be able to use it to go out and do code enforcement issues.
Okay.
And be protected and not have people be able to identify you by your personal vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. I've had a few encounters with some not so friendly people, so I actually am kind of thankful that I had Adam with me a couple times.
Absolutely.
Would it be something that could be taken to trainings, or we've gotten involved with where staff can all go to these league workshops?
And driving water samples down.
Oh yeah, driving water samples.
Yes, it works hand in hand with the Public Works of the water samples.
So that was gonna bring up my next question, is that if you're going out and doing code enforcement, or administrative staff is doing routine things, that's kind of a card. With Public Works at that point, do you want something a little more hefty than a car, or are we okay with a car?
So for Public Works, with the increases in prices on mailing packages for water samples, also they are sometimes getting timed out because they are not getting our packages there on time, and their next day delivery isn't necessarily next day. It's within, we brought in our water sample on Monday, and they said the best they could is possibly Thursday getting out. So we compared prices of how much it cost our average worker to drive down there in a 3/4 ton pickup to drop off our water samples, and it was still $15 cheaper than it was for just paying postage service to do it. Now, if we had a car with better gas mileage, we could possibly pick up stuff on the way back for things that are only able to pick up in the city. If we needed to use a pickup truck to pick up larger things, we could do on the way back. But a smaller car would be just fine with us for better gas mileage, would only save the city money with all the sampling that we need to turn in. Just an option.
My only other thought is if you do need something a little more, and a truck usually stands out a little bit more than a car if you're doing enforcement, or an SUV. Should we consider those options? And is there any logic behind speccing it out so that it could become either a Public Works truck in the future, and we buy a new one and replace it in the future, or a fire truck? Something along those lines, and then just keep working the vehicles down through the rotation. I don't know.
And I'm sure Brock's guys could use an extra vehicle, the part-timers running around. I know that sometimes they sit 3 deep when they're running to a job together. So if that were to pass down eventually, we easily could find a vehicle, use for a vehicle. And city's only growing. Whether we decide as a group whether a pickup would be a better option or a car. Wouldn't matter to me either way. We could find a use for either.
Well, you know, that something like a Ford Maverick or something like that, pickup, 4-door pickup, it would get good mileage, and that would, you still have some hauling capabilities, but you're not really in a big honking truck. You're in a
Well, it
small vehicle.
takes out mileage reimbursements and that kind of back office stuff that you would have to submit and file and do anymore, right? Because you wouldn't have to reimburse mileage if you're using a company vehicle.
I don't want to look at the vehicle that we're gonna hold on to it for 30 years and never replace it, let it kind of fall apart. If it's gonna be something that at some point it would make sense to give to another department, maybe Parks needs another truck, maybe the fire department, maybe you, would that make sense to have something a little bit more than just a truck? Or a smart car? We could put you in a smart car. Little ones?
I will say with the solar panel AMP grant, if it gets awarded, which it was applied for earlier this week, I will have 10,000. I don't know where that's gonna go, but there will be a $10,000 that we get from this grant that can be used as seen fit. But I don't know where it's gonna go. Yes, it will be,
My 30,000 point of view on this would be is to talk to all the departments in my mind and just make sure, does a car make sense? Does an SUV make sense? Does a truck make sense? And do you ever want to set it up that you could rotate it out to departments as it starts to kind of depreciate harder?
Appreciation plan, if you will. It starts here, runs around, then maybe comes a personnel runner for public works or parks. It wouldn't have to be brand new. We did fairly well with Mr. Fleming's, right?
Right. So just something to consider.
Anything else for planning wish list right now?
I would like to get fees on your other two items.
I'm working on it.
So,
They're hopefully coming, but I've sent a follow-up email and I still haven't heard anything, so.
okay. I'd like to keep this out there for more consideration once we see the fee item.
All right.
Is it possible to get a figure on how much mileage we're paying out right now?
Oh, yes, we could.
That's a good point.
That's up now.
Like I said, I've been having Adam or Public Works do it, so I don't have reimbursement mileage. So, and I feel kind of guilty not making them use their.
All right, anything else on planning? Public Works wish list?
So before I start, I would just like to state that this was worded to me as like a dream list, a wish list, not necessarily one that we're looking for prices like you want. This is things that I thought, yes, there are some things that we need. Yes, there are some things that are more comfortability and some things that are just kind of would improve productivity and make our jobs easier and nicer. So that being said, a lot of these things on this list are not things that I'm asking for right now by any means. It's just things that could improve productivity, or like the ease on the building. We have a tin roof, and so every time it's raining, there's a bead of rain that comes down directly in the middle of the door. So whether we have some kind of a gutter system or just an ease going out covering our front door would be nice. That's like a comfortability thing, not necessarily something that needs to be done right now.
Huh.
Okay.
How many times have you talked about this thing at Public Works?
That's a conversation that on the whole building about different things, that the rock around the building is all sinking out of sight. There's no protection for the foundation. I mean, there's a lot of maintenance on that building that was let go and irritated the heck out of me. I finally got the doors painted by hounding enough, but I think, you know, I personally like to see, and I have seen with the present crew, that we have a lot of pride in where they work, and I think they should have, because the taxpayers paid a lot of money for that building, and we need to keep it up. And so yeah, the cap off or put some kind of a diversion system for the water makes sense. The tin that was damaged because of the ice falling off, wasn't that what happened to most of that?
I wasn't here for the
I
winter.
don't believe that was the story I heard. And that's all replaceable. You can get the tin, the exact type that was there, for steel, I should say. And they can be replaced. Somebody's just got to ask. You know, the builder that built it still builds buildings. And he built that one, he built the fire hall, and he still is in business, and he can get, I've talked to him, he can get the parts for that. So he can fix that. But somebody's got to ask him for a price. If you don't ask him for a price, you're not going to get it. And yeah, I think that needs to be an important part of any budget, is maintaining the building. Doesn't have to be all done at one time, but it has to be done. I think there were some insulation problems on the inside that need to be addressed. I don't know if they got addressed yet or not. Probably not. I didn't think so. Okay.
I really appreciate this list. I'm actually kind of frustrated that some of these things are on the list. And
Yeah.
You didn't already have them, to be
Yes.
honest.
Yeah. Well,
And some of these things we have had, they've been broken and then they've never been replaced. And that's not on my doings.
No.
No.
Yeah, it was never communicated to the council, and I'm not sure if it was ever communicated to the city administrator. So I'm happy you brought this forward. Frustrated that you don't have it. I definitely want pricing on it. There's a lot of things on here. Chainsaw makes sense. The LED lights make sense. The tire changer makes sense. I'm really happy to see the floor sweeper. I mean, how long did we talk about actually cleaning up the public works building?
It was our
The small battery powered tools, I like that idea. My only question for that is, do we have different departments using all steel tools, or are some using Husky or some using DeWalt? It'd be
So,
kind of nice to see.
Is this for the hand tools? Is this for the replacing small gas engine tools?
That.
Okay, so coming from Lionel Lakes, we got a grant for replacing getting a kickstart into going battery powered. And so we went with steel, and they had a lot of hesitation at first, thinking, oh, battery powered, this isn't going to be hold up to these gas powered engines and everything. They worked better.
Yeah, they do. Better. Even the chainsaws work better.
Yes and no. For size wise, some did, some didn't.
Not in the winter. I remember that we went through something like this under Stacy, and we replaced with a bunch of electric tools, but I don't know that they were ever this kind of.
More summer based tools worked better than winter based. I mean, obviously there's some things that you lean more towards, and then some things you kind of shy away from due to where we live.
So I guess, again, back to my caveat is, it would just be nice if all the departments that are using battery tools are all using it. Because if we're gonna put in an order for 50 batteries or something, or 100 batteries, it'd be nice to order them all from one shot. Maybe it'd be cheaper to order in bulk. I have no idea. And then your tools will carry over all the
A lot of times when you're buying, you can wait for when they have deals, and then they'll come with 2 extra batteries when you buy one piece of equipment.
Sure.
So it's actually fairly easy to rack up batteries when you are starting from scratch and buying implements. And those batteries were lasting anywhere between 5 and 10 years for us.
the security system. That's that really.
So with the security system, my thought was like our fence by the gate has a good foot gap at the bottom. There's a handful of things that I would just like to point out security wise at that building that aren't, and granted, we are just getting from my side of things, just learning. I started without cameras working. So now that we're just getting the ball rolling with cameras working, that's starting to change my perspective on how we can keep an eye on things and everything. But
so we did get some cameras.
From what I hear,
Because there was a
Yes.
period when nothing was. So
So I guess in my mind, I would like to see some dollar amounts, even, I mean, some of these items aren't really that much in cost.
No,
But even like the tandem axle dump truck, it'd be nice to see that. Maybe that makes sense for 550,000 instead or something, but.
Yep.
Do you have TV equipment for sewer lines?
not right now.
Nothing, that doesn't work.
No, they had TV equipment for the Vector truck and supposedly that broke somewhere down the line and then never got replaced.
That was another thing we were led to believe that we had.
Yeah.
Well, they had a unit that was separate and that was used back in, on one of my buildings back in 2005 or so, and then it broke. But,
And then,
I think it's still on the shelf, I believe, a hand unit of some type there.
Okay, that's news to me, but. I can
Transit
look into
laser.
it, Yeah.
just rotator laser with legs. and a
Yep,
crane
so
on it.
I went to go hook ours up for that culvert project and it wouldn't start. I went to replace the batteries with brand new batteries, still wouldn't turn on. And I had Mike, our mechanic, test the batteries to make sure the batteries were working. They were full power and we couldn't get the thing to turn on. And it said it was from 1992. So I think we could use an upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, anything's an upgrade when it turns on.
That's one of the most important tools they have to.
Well, one item that's not on here that we heard for a long time, I think it was the crack sealing set up or.
And that I am just actually getting my crew, hopefully getting going after we get the big potholes done, after we get the sweeping caught up. I'm hoping to get crack sealing done on the proper roads. And I wanted to bring that out and test it and see how well it works before I were to start asking for a new one. We have bigger fish to fry when it comes to purchasing.
Is it possible to work with the county on that and ask to share a piece of equipment or lease a piece of equipment?
It's possible. I'm just starting to grow a relationship with the guys over at the county, trying to create snowplow plans and whatnot. I'm getting to know
We used
them.
to do some stuff between Hinckley and Pine City, and I don't know what happened to that, but there used to be some equipment that was shared between them.
I couldn't tell you that.
No, I know you don't.
That's something I.
Yeah.
See if they even have
Because,
it.
you know, for the cost of it, and we're in talks with the three towns now that, you know, kind of sharing experiences and what we're all facing as far as increased costs. And I'm sure that, you know, that's stuff that we can bring up at our next meetings that, you know, there's some of this equipment is so horrendously expensive, but if it's shared between 2 or 3 towns, it isn't so bad. And would help at least to get started to get into that type of a business again. I don't know if that stuff has if there's a used market somewhere. I hate to say some of it. Mr. Miller has a pretty good eye for salvage stuff from DNR. Maybe he can do a little peeky-poo and see
But
what's
I mean,
out there.
Even for this crack filler,
Yeah.
Sam comes with a background in it, and so we can get it started, see how it works. And as long as it heats up the oil and can lay it down, we wouldn't necessarily need to upgrade that for a while. It's just it hasn't been used in how long. We don't even know what's wrong with it. So we need to get that figured out first.
So how would you would blow the cracks out, or you don't have a grinding tool? Right?
No, we don't have a grinding tool, but we can blow it out and then you just do it on the roads. We just went through and surveyed the roads on, that way I could have a better understanding on what are the more major pothole roads, what are the smaller pothole roads, what are the larger cracks, smaller cracks. So crack sealing doesn't work on every single crack.
No.
So I had somebody go around and do a survey on the roads and figure out which roads we can go through and crack seal, which ones we have to go around and do the major potholing on, what ones are in need for a full reconstruct. So it's something that I'm working on, but we're juggling a lot right now. We're pretty behind.
How does your budget for this year look to do a lot of that stuff?
It depends on what
Getting in the weeds here a little bit.
Yeah,
like
sorry, we're down in the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So just back on topic, and I'm gonna jump in the next one. You have items on here that I think could work for other departments. I know, Brock, you're gonna talk about one that's probably could be shared. I would just keep that in mind. I'm not asking for other departments to pay for it, but if other departments can use it, in my mind, it's an easier justification than a one-off once a year or something.
Certainly.
So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, fire and life.
Good evening. So, put a couple things on there. One of which is new decals and storage racking for the vehicle. The current decals that I have on the car are pretty small. It's pretty sad when I'm sitting at the intersection and people are squinting to see what kind of vehicle I'm sitting there. People don't know who I am. So, it'd be nice to get some bigger decals, make it known who I am, so people know what they're looking at. And then the storage racking, currently, like I have like my ladder floating around in the back. So it's sliding around, it's not very safe. So it'd be nice to get something, get that mounted in the vehicle. They even make compartments, with drawers, you know, so I can keep all the other tools, safely stored in the vehicle. It was a while ago, but I did look at this, pricing. I could probably get the decals and the storage probably all done for less than $3,000. So ballpark. So that was probably about when I got the vehicle. I was starting to look at that kind of stuff. So the other item I threw on there was this business inspection program. I guess I turned to HR on some of that pricing stuff, but I did reach out to Public Works to get a kind of an idea of how many commercial properties we have in the city. Currently we have 178 commercial properties in city limits with the water meter. So that's not counting all of the properties, because some share water meters for businesses, you know, so that's a good starting point though, for determining workload and stuff like that. But first we need to adopt an ordinance. So we'd have to go through the rampant of, you know, going through planning and doing public hearings, and then of course coming to council to get that adopted. I would need additional administrative help, you know, getting that up and running, especially the first few years. There'd be a lot of registration forms that would have to go out, a lot of letters that would have to go out. We'd have to babysit a lot of spreadsheets to see, especially that first year, getting places to register, explaining why they need to register. There's gonna be a lot of back and forth. Then I would see this, that there's a possible need for an additional inspector due to increased workload. So, like I said, I'd probably turn to HR or pricing on that kind of stuff.
Would this so? You think it would impact the ISO rating? Got into that?
Yeah, so our last ISO score, one of the areas that we scored low in was our inspections. Currently, we're only doing rental inspections and liquor license inspections. So having a program out there where we're routinely inspecting our businesses would boost our inspection score quite a bit.
Just so that I understand this, and for people that may be listening online, the goal of this business inspection program is to map out the what ifs. Where is stuff stored? If we have to get in here for fire and life safety, we just need to know where those critical items are. We're not coming in to inspect your inventory. We're not coming in with rulers and tapes. We're trying to evolve a safety plan, so if something is to happen in your commercial building, we can keep the guys safe and girls safe that are coming in to fight the potential disaster.
That and the customers, we want to make sure that, you know, the public is safe walking into these buildings. Doing a program like this, you know, we're going out there to make sure that the fire and life safety systems that are in these buildings are being maintained, which, you know, we're not out there doing right now because we don't have a program that exists currently within the city.
Adam, doesn't also this program would also assist businesses? It would lower their insurance costs as well by having
Potentially, yeah, having this program in place, you know, they would get reports that they're passing fire inspection programs, or they passed a fire inspection. They would be very dependent on their insurance. But ultimately, if we were to get to that next level, that ISO rating of a 3, that's going to benefit everybody's insurance rating throughout the city, especially businesses. By not maintaining these fire and life safety systems, if they have them, that's where it could really negatively affect these business owners. If something were to happen in a building, and it was found that, let's say, an alarm system or a sprinkler system wasn't being maintained, they could lose everything. And if there was a fire and somebody got hurt, insurance companies could deny coverage. Even these owners could be charged criminally if they weren't maintaining the system. So this would be a benefit to our business owners by going out to verifying that these systems are being maintained.
Sorry, not trying to get in the weeds. I just want to make sure that that's understood, that that's what that program is. It's safety in nature.
So there's costs associated with this, and there's costs with your time, but it doesn't seem unreasonable. What I see is a cost and a commitment from the council, because the direction you're talking about going is going to be kind of a rough direction to go with. Getting out there and educating that we're not coming in there to find the heck out of them. We're coming in there to make everybody safe. So I'm good with moving forward on that one, but you're going to have to continue to educate all council members, and we're going into an election year, on what could happen and why we're doing that. So I'd like to keep that in mind as we go throughout the discussion.
Sure.
Well, and that possible additional inspector could also, in my opinion, and just the way my brain works, like if you're getting complaints on C-Click Fix or whatever, it allows you to potentially be in a different, I don't want to say level, but if you've got plan reviews or site inspections to do, you would have somebody delegate to go look at long grass.
Absolutely.
The case.
Yep. Awesome. I like that.
And signs along the road.
Anything else for Fire and Life? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Parks and Public Buildings wish list. But when they have numbers, it's scary. When there's no numbers, it's like, this is great.
Yeah, we can do this.
I priced them high, so I look like a hero.
The pricing isn't all that bad. Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Although I think your track skid steer to run I'm guessing you want to run some kind of drum head, not a flail, correct?
Yeah.
So you're probably talking about something a little bit more heavy duty than that. You're going to need a high flow, and you're going to need a machine big enough to flow it. I'm guessing you're probably looking at pecan or forestry for heads.
Right, forestry.
I think you're probably under on that one about $50,000 to $60,000. That whole setup on top of the skid steer, at least. And so my only thought is, how much mowing do you do where you're getting into plug thorn?
It's all over. I mean, and it would be nice for out at the Fond Meadows area for making new trails to walk. And it's really bad out by the high school area, ball field area. Shalene Park has it. Pretty much everywhere. The beach has it. Voyager has it.
So I'm open to looking at it, but I want to keep something open. Having a forestry mower, they're expensive to maintain, especially the carbine teeth, and they don't always handle wear and tear. And when they sit, they seem to just kind of fall apart. So it's nice to kind of just constantly run them, but I don't know if we're going to constantly run them. And so in that respect, if we have big pockets, should we also look at contracting out the service to somebody that might have the equipment? I would actually probably recommend reaching out to Essential Energy to see if any of their contractors are working in the area and might be able to provide you pricing. But after that, buckthorn will keep coming back if you're just constantly mowing it. I think you should probably look at getting a herbicide applicator license or look at bids for that too. Don't know if you carry your herbicide license, but I think we should look at making an application so that buckthorn doesn't just come.
And I've talked with the DNR, and I don't remember the name of it. It's called like Galleon or something. Garland.
There's a couple.
They say that if you cut it and then spray with that, it
should stay away.
Probably any of the herbicide applications.
Okay. I mean, I'm not against renting one, but I don't even know who has them around here. Maybe the Cat, Forest Lake, Columbus.
There are a few contractors that do it commercially and residentially. Like I said, I would reach out to Essential Energy and see if any of their companies do it commercially. The cost might be lower if they're within the area. Just a consideration. I don't mind having them on more, but I know that they're very expensive. Contractors I oversee in my area, they're constantly down and they put a lot of money into it. I think it could turn into one of those holes that we just keep throwing money in because they just need to be ran hard. I like the skid steer though idea.
Yeah, I really was surprised we didn't have one when I started with the city that we have, we didn't have a tracked, powerful skid steer with high flow.
And so when that gets into it, what horsepower are we looking at for a possibility for a skid steer?
I think when I looked on Bobcat, which I'm not really married to a brand, but I want to say this was like 80. It was a pretty good size.
I think you're gonna have to probably be up in the 100 or 120. Flow it out to run the mower.
Okay.
So just something for consideration. I think you could probably use it too. I think you got equipment that you can do it in public works or probably the fire department, but I would go bigger on that one. So, I think you got a side by side here. This is the same question I have is, are there any situations where we can buy equipment and reallocate it to other departments over time if it makes sense? Or do we just put them out to pasture after 20?
I guess I don't know. I mean, I put side by side, and I was actually talking with some of my crew, and the only reason we need four-wheel drive is to drag the beach.
Okay.
So honestly, I'd be fine with a golf cart with a box. It'd be nice to have a hydraulic dump box or just dirt or something, but the mule it's like a hormonal teenager. It wants to do stuff some days and but it's starting to act up again, and I'll have to, and then we're gonna be down to one truck.
Mules are stubborn.
One's living up to its name. So, I mean, it'd be nice to get two golf carts with the box. Like the Toro that we have at the ball fields has been, super. It's simple. It starts right up after all winter sitting, but that's kind of a bigger brand name. That one doesn't have a dump box. Well, it dumps, but not hydraulic or electric. But with 15 grand, I think you could probably get one, maybe two. And they're pretty safe. They don't go fast, but they're handy. So, if I need to drag the beach, I can always get we have a wheeler at Public Works. I'm sure I could use.
The mowers, is there any carryover between you and Public Works on mowers, or is it kind of?
I've talked to Jason about, we have a Husqvarna tractor with the chipper mulcher thing with the trailer, which is the longest pain in the butt. The deck only goes so high, like to the point where you have to park the trailer in a certain spot, otherwise it'll sit and teeter totter. It's leaking out of the main seal on the engine. It's it's always dead. But I was telling Jason it'd be nice if we could get a zero turn with the bagging system, and they have like a mulcher thing that shoots it to the back, where we could use it if, last year we ran into a problem where it kept raining and we couldn't mow. Well, then by the time we could mow, the grass was long. Well, then we ended up raking the baseball fields or the fields, and that was a lot of staff time. So it would be nice to have an option where we could just bag it, get it out there, and he could use it in the fall for the cemeteries, or I could use it in the parks. But it's really
inefficient, this lawnmower. It's slow. You have to shut it off, get off, tip it up. Half the time it gets stuck. It's gonna need a new canvas.
No, that's fine. I just mean, both have kind of similar asks in your list, so if stuff can be bought and they can be used both ways, I'd rather go, in my mind, that way than having one piece of equipment for one department that sits for half the week, and the other department has the same equipment that sits for half the week, right?
Well, and we would use it in the summer just without the setup if we didn't need it. And then when it came down to cleanup, we would put that on and then he would use it, I'd use it. Because we did buy a new cemetery mower recently, which brings me to another spot of, instead of leasing the mowers, just buying one. One would have the mulching setup, and then one would just be a regular one. But we spend $4,600 a year to lease the two. Recently, we traded in the cemetery mower. It was a 2020. It had a little over 660 hours, and they gave us 4,300 trade-in, and it was about 11,000 MSRP for the new one. So they gave us a really good deal on that.
Does leasing make sense? What happens if we lease a machine and it breaks? Do we pay to fix it, or they come get it fixed?
I mean, we do the oil changes, we sharpen the blades. Other than the thing blowing up, I mean, yeah, we still gonna maintain things. So it's kind of, at least if we do that, and they do hold their value pretty good.
This library LED light, is that outside lighting?
I talked to a contractor about the lighting in here, and he
Oh, you
was,
inside lighting?
yeah, he was actually saying it's probably better to just buy the lights that are compatible, and you don't have to rewire them. I looked online, and they're pretty reasonable, so that was something I could probably do in the winter, just change them all out. I've changed so many bulbs in this place. The fluorescence, it's shocking.
Yeah,
So
but
it'd be nice.
doesn't it have to be done by a licensed contractor?
Bulbs?
For the ball.
But not the bulbs, but the fixtures have to.
Yeah, to change them up, but not with the direct replacement.
No. What happened to, we had you talked to us a while ago about the library fireplace, the carpets, the ice, the water machine. Did we ever apply for a grant from ECE? I thought that was a good idea. I don't think we'd ever got one for a while.
I'm
I thought
actually,
the EC grant was for that car charger that we ended up ripping out.
No, that was a different, that was way back. That was three or four park directors.
I'm still waiting for the bid on the contractor for an idea on that. That's why we haven't submitted it yet, but
I think it's what I was under the understanding that the submission should be done as soon as possible because they had some money. So
probably try again next year, I guess. But I did get everything. I got the roof fixed. That was 3,000, and then some other ones. The parking lot, obviously, you know how lovely that is out there. I got a pretty solid bid on that. That would be nice to get replaced.
does that include the sidewalks that are all cracked up too, or the?
No, it's just the curb in the parking lot.
Oh, I'm afraid of that.
Yeah.
It would be nice to tidy this place up.
Every time we plow it, we rearrange the road, so.
Well, there's, I call it liability lane. That's why I park on the street and walk in, because it's liability lane when you come through here.
My last one for you, you got pickleball courts on here, and last I knew that they were gonna, self-fund that whole thing with charitable donations. What are we getting into on this one?
Well, I mean, I put that on there just to, since they're pretty serious and they know that it's gonna be a good spot, I thought maybe we could put a little skin in the game, but obviously that's a wish list, so.
I think I think we're gonna have probably the maintenance on it anyway. I think we're gonna have skin in the game. You know,
And we've talked about it since they got rid of the pavilion for now, doing a bigger pavilion in that area. But yeah, I expected that one to get a line.
I would probably put a line through that one and maybe focus on the Schulen Park Pavilion.
Yeah.
So,
The dedication, recently we got 20,000 from the Pine City Lions for that. So it'd be nice to delegate some money to that. I recently got yesterday, the Pine County Soil and Water approved that whole thing. So from last meeting. So we're gonna be looking for bids on that with their guidance, because they have certain people that they want us to go through. That'll actually, that they've worked with before, that know what they need to be done, so.
Dog Park Shade, is that a pavilion you're talking, or what are you talking?
Yeah, I get a lot of people saying, and I agree, that it's pretty hot right there.
there's been a lot of feedback on that one.
I watched last night, there was a couple people, working their dogs and pretty serious, and you could see it was pretty hot out there. I was watching the soccer, which, by the way, there was hundreds of people there, I think. I've never seen so many people at soccer, all the little kids running around.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a shade structure and then like a sidewalk from the road to there, because in the winter, people want me to shovel that, and it's a lot easier to shovel concrete than recycled asphalt.
So I really like your list, Brock, except for the one core thing, so.
Well,
All right, anything else for Parks and Public Buildings? All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brock.
Deputy Clerk wish list.
All right, so mine is
Can you
just,
come up to the podium like everybody else?
I have a mic.
Well, I mean, we want to be able to see you though.
long list.
So the first one would be the website ADA compliance, which this thankfully got postponed for municipalities. It was supposed to be done by April 2027. And in April, they extended it to April of 2028. So this is gonna be, all of our PDFs have to go by, and I think we have over 450 on our website. So it's gonna be a long process. We're hoping with the website upgrade that like we can get better forms and stuff, because right now when we do forms on our website, the way they come into us just is, it's not great. So the upgrade would make that better and possibly solve Tabitha's issue with forms also. The cemetery GIS software.
Excuse me, can we go back? That estimated cost was 5 to 8. Now, is that a one time, or is that what's the maintenance cost of that?
That would be the upgrade, like the upgrade, and then it would be, I think it's about 3,000 to 4,000 every year for our website.
You're already paying 3,000 to 4,000 with the website, so
Yes.
that would be.
Oh, okay, so that wouldn't change. Okay, I just wanted to.
And then the cemetery GIS software, this is something that would be really nice, because right now Lisa handles all the cemetery stuff and it's all in old books and old plat books, and it'd be nice if we could have it on our website so people could look up locations of cemeteries, and we could look up when people call and see what's still available instead of Lisa having to look in books, and it would just make everything a lot easier.
I like the JS. I want to throw something at you. I'd like to see this used in other departments too, and have this become a citywide program. I'm kind of done with the days of using Beacon and having somebody try and rattle off up the top of their mind where water lines are, or hydrants, or roads that are in a certain age. So it'd be nice to expand this out and have cemetery be a component of that, but use it citywide.
For BSNA. Yeah, BSNA, our accounting software, does have a GIS software that goes along with it.
So it would be just adding that module to what we already use, and it would be just another annual fee to use it?
Yep.
Oh,
Do we have an estimate on that?
It ain't cheap.
No,
Just make sure to get multiple bids.
yes.
with
And-
BSNA?
Well, I mean, with the JS software,
Oh, I see.
it might not, it maybe be an SA, say it again,
BSNA.
ESNA might not be the coverall for everything that we want. You're probably gonna wanna talk to the other department heads to see what they want. I'm guessing, Jason, you might have some ideas on things. Lionel
Yeah.
Lakes must have had some.
I've worked with other Lionel Lakes and Maple Grove that had GIS software.
Cause then we could bring it up at a council meeting to know what you guys are talking about when you wanna ask for $1 million for something.
They're wonderful for productivity. Productivity increase.
That would be my challenge, you expand on it.
Okay. And then the cloud, this was started 2 IT people ago, and it was not done properly, so our current IT wants to get it all set up correctly and get us off of hard servers and get us online servers, so we don't have that added expense with servers also. And this is a quote that they gave us, the initial setup, and then it would be the $160 per month added.
What do we have for security liability? I mean, is it here, is it encrypted? Do we have to run the risk that private information could get hacked, get out there?
I think we're pretty secure according to solution builders.
Or IT has?
That would be great to have done.
So what are we paying now for storage?
So it's 480 or something a year right now, but that doesn't include server costs. Because every time you have to upgrade a server, which is every like 3 to 5 years, it costs thousands of dollars to upgrade a server. Where this would get rid of the need for that.
And the servers have half-lives, if you will, too.
Yeah.
Like you can only upgrade them for so long before you have to replace the server. That's my understanding.
So it'd be $2,400 initially up front, and then about a little less than $2,000 every year.
Yeah.
Sounds like a better deal.
But it would also get rid of the need for the one at Pine Tech, which we pay.
Right, which we do, oh, I wanna say 2,500 a year?
Yeah.
It's not really no brainer.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
See, wasn't it worth getting it? I thought.
So do we want to keep this moving forward under old business?
Yes, and I think that staff would also appreciate feedback. So if you want to look at these wish lists that were presented, maybe even come back with your own ideas that are maybe not on these lists. Also homework.
I guess my other question is that we didn't hear from some of the department heads. So does that mean that you guys don't have a wish list, or that up your wish list is already in the capital plan or budget for? No, I just want to double check.
And I don't have capital.
Where are you going with your wish?
My wish is really big.
Yeah, that's true. I just want to make sure.
That guy next to you got a new truck, so.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. So those two are staying kind of quiet.
Yeah, I noticed they
What
were
about
kind
you?
of freaking down under the table.
I don't have a wish list either.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
I will get it compiled and give it to Marcy.
I like the fact that this is gonna be really nice when we get the real budgets. You know, because, and maybe you guys are gonna be a little surprised with some of the stuff in the real budget, but it's probably right here. And Jason's defense, he's finding out what his budget really is. So, and that's gonna be an ongoing education for a few months anyway.
Okay, anything else on the budget? If not, moving on to 9.2 comprehensive plan. This was something that I asked to have added. And the reason I asked is because I have been, over the last 8, 10, 12 months, we've had lots of things come before us that have been resourcing the comprehensive plan to make sure how it fits in with the comprehensive plan to be able to make the best decision moving forward. Part of that for me is when you get into chapter 4 and chapter 5 is I'm wondering if we may want to open up the subcommittees for chapter 4 and chapter 5 to potentially look at setting some new goals. For instance, in chapter 4 is the economic prosperity chapter, and one of the goals is to bring a hotel to Pine City. Another of the goals is to bring a grocery store to Pine City, and the third goal is to relocate the MnDOT facility on the Highway 324. So we've accomplished 2 of those goals. The third goal is as far along as it can be. So would it behoove us now to maybe interject with the community again to start coming up with some goals, what we want to look at to do for economic prosperity? And then in chapter 5, it's page 144 is chapter 4 with the goals, and chapter 5 is page 148. Has to do with downtown revitalization. Again, benches, history posters, hanging plants, arts and murals, wayfinding signage, building facades and public restroom. Again, a lot of these things, I know we haven't got the public restroom built, but a lot of these things have already been accomplished. And does it behoove us to maybe go back out, engage these subcommittees that were set up, and work on some more goals?
The only one thing I would say about the hotel is it's not built yet. I'd like to keep that in the plan. In the event that it helps them with any kind of grant funding or anything until they're actually done with it. I don't want to rip it out there and then have something happen for those guys.
True enough.
I like everything else though, with opening it back up.
Yeah, just a discussion point. You know, the comprehensive plan is a living, breathing document, and it says, you know, if at some point we need to bring it back to make it make sense for the community. So maybe something to think about and talk about at Old Business at the next meeting. But again, I just want to bring it up as a discussion point. Because, like I said, I just keep coming to it. Like we're done on. We're done with a lot of this. Or a lot of this is moving.
I think the other thing is it does cover annexation in the plan, and it would be nice to really get that argument into gear again with those subcommittees.
I agree.
So I'm on board.
Okay.
Want to make a motion?
Sure. I would make a motion that we would open up, and I believe this would fall to planning, to look at chapter 4 and chapter 5, goal setting and subcommittees. Does that work?
Goal setting and subcommittees.
Yep.
I'll second the motion.
Right. Motion by me, second by Kyle. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to 9.3 procurement policy.
This was also directed by council to bring this to the agenda. So this was approved in 2020, and I would like council to give staff direction to update this because there's just things that are no longer true. So if we could update this and maybe bring it back to the next agenda.
I think a lot of it was to follow almost identically to state statute. I think that was where the first part of this was. And the second part was something added to, by the council back in the day.
We could just update there's names and other real obvious things that just need updated. We could add a title instead of a name.
Would be better. This also gets into equipment and supplies. It's kind of loose on the services part.
Right.
And I think that maybe needs to be clarified a little bit.
The council wanted to give direction. Staff could start working on this and it'd be something we could bring back.
I guess my direction, we talked about different quotes and bids, and I'm gonna go back to our waste services. There was a very significant change in pricing going from one to the other, and that's one of the benefits of seeing that. Now, in the last case for quotes, it was actually significantly the other way, but it does show that we're doing our due diligence and we're getting out there and talking. So I guess I know that there's different options and different amounts in here, but it would be nice to start seeing more due diligence and looking up at different quotes and not just going with the easiest, if that makes sense. I think what is it, 50,000, where it starts really getting into having to have RFPs and everything below that is optional. It'd be nice to switch the optional to just doing multiple bids or having a memo that said there's just nobody else out here or nobody else came forward at X amount of days.
I tend to agree because that puts codifies transparency, if you will. And there is no way to say that there's favoritism being played one way or another for a purchase or a service because it's codified to a certain. Yes, I know the law is one way, but it's
I understand that too. We also want to be careful of having it put too many speed bumps in work getting done, because there is so much work to be done, and that if we were to go out, if something was a $1,000 project and you are asking them to get 3 bids on something when they need it done. So,
but the challenge is like right there, purchases over 5,000 has to be city council. Up above, anything that gets approved has to be city council. And my question keeps going, have we talked to anybody else when we do the bids? So I understand the speed bumps, but we just need to plan that stuff ahead of time. If we know we're going to get more bids, then talk to more people, bring it to council and have them vote on it. Don't have them stretch it out for a month and a half. We don't know the information. That's upfront due diligence.
there's going to be a lot of projects that are under the 5,000 where I know Public Works, I'm not going to use the correct term, where they go out and each year they go get costs that each, I think it's like 3 companies or so that you use regularly. They have set prices. So that part's already done for a lot of the projects that are going to be the 5,000 under.
Yeah, some of those pricing is what you're talking about is more of just getting like the equipment hours.
Okay.
Hours per certain piece of equipment. Every job that typically comes with, I mean, utilities are running all these, but they give you general prices.
And I guess in my mind, I'm less worried about that amount. But if you're going to bring it to me and ask me for my opinion or me to vote on it, I'm going to ask you that multiple things. So 5,000 is the mark, and I would have that extra language that you just need more bids after that.
I agree.
If you are going to get multiple bids, I would come up with some kind of window or definitive time, so we're not putting 7 days or 60 days or all that is classified. That would be nice. And then how are we making that public information? Are we just calling up our friends? Are we calling up people on Google? Are we putting it out on our website and our Facebook pages? Are we sending it out by the Click It, Fix It app? You know, whatever. I guess that's my stuff.
Okay.
Thoughts.
Okay.
And then I don't know if it would be, and this is just me, because from a throughput thing, if a department head has a budget and the money's already been allocated to the department head to spend on certain good.
Yep.
Can we put that in the procurement plan where they can spend that money in their budget if it's already been approved by council?
It's addressed. in
Okay,
here.
okay,
Yep,
just making,
Yep.
I'm making sure I read that. Because that to me seems like a throughput plan. Like, we've already given you the budget, you've already said you have the money, so why are you coming back to council to hopefully be able to spend the
Yeah,
money that's
especially
already
this
in
addresses when that item.
I don't think you can do a blanket on that though, because I think there's different caveats for amounts, like mill and overlay, I think you are required with multiple bids, I believe, because of the amount that it hits under, regardless of the fact that the money is in the budget.
Yep, and this is also addressed in this policy. But it does give that dollar amount where we are required to go out. But if it's specifically an item that was besides, they were to put it in their budget to purchase this specific thing, skid steer, let's say. Council approved that, then they do have the authority. This allows the department head to. The council would like, we can maybe just give it a good update and bring it back.
Red line it so we can see what.
Yep.
You need a motion for that, or
I would like
I'd make a motion that staff modify this and bring it back to the next council.
I'll second.
Just for discussionary points, if there is reasons where you wouldn't have multiple bids for whatever reason, state bid or whatever, just put a memo in there that this is a state thing, so it's public transparency, would be my thought, so.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
On to department reports. Any questions or comments for department reports? Thanks for the information. You guys have all been incredibly busy. And Public Works, I really like that you call it the brag sheet. I thought that was a neat addition. I like that. That's what I was
Oh. That's kind of my internal work. Give me your brag sheets. People.
Not
Not anymore.
That's how the last one that they gave me as like a reference to the last one. That's how it was labeled, so I thought that's what everybody did.
Okay, committee updates. EDA, that's me. EDA, we reviewed our financials. There was discussion on the Orvis property again. At our next meeting, there's RFPs for rough grading that may be brought back to the next meeting for the Orvis property. There's some thoughts about potentially seeing what it would cost to clean it up, make it a little bit more appealing and appealing and developable to a potential purchaser. See if it might make sense to stub sewer and water mains in there. So that was something that was going to be brought back to the next meeting. 6-month CD that is maturing. The treasurer has it where we're trying to ladder CDs and EDA for July, October, and February, I believe. And it was voted to roll this 6-month over again at 3.5%.
I think, wasn't it a term change too?
Yeah, from a year to 6 months.
Oh, correct, yes, sorry.
Or 6, yeah.
For 6 months to.
There was to be an update about a loan for Lakeside Student Housing that is pushed till next week. We updated the EDA on the Scott Manufacturing land purchase, and that's moving right along. And we discussed the vacant seat as well, and there was going to be some legal stuff to make sure that verification that person could sit on EDA.
Was there any discussion on the possibility of increasing the loan amount higher than what it was?
It wasn't on the agenda, but I suggested and that we maybe have it on the next agenda.
Yes, it'll be on the next.
And that we can speak on. What? Planning. Let's see. This is the right one, May 27th. Yes, planning. We had a public hearing for the rear yard setback variance that we just discussed. We had Andy there to talk to us about the manufactured home ordinance, and I've got some really great handouts that I haven't gotten copies for you guys yet, but it is on Rum River's website as well. Just the difference between modular and manufactured homes. It was a really great conversation, I thought. And like I said, I'll get copies of this so you guys can have it. It was made very clear as to what the differences are. We discussed data centers very briefly. I think we're going to bring that back to discuss as well. Not a moratorium of any sense, but just a better understanding of what a data center is, because a lot of people, when you hear data center, you think of 1 million square feet or this massive buildings. Data centers are as small as there's home builders that are putting them on the outside of homes now to run data for neighborhoods. They're everywhere. They used to be called server farms. So if somebody was to come to the city, what would it look like? It was just more of a conversation than sort of action. Talked about nuisance code, got an update from that, and we're going to bring that back as people have a chance to read through it. And our shoreline ordinance discussion continues to try to find ways for people that live east of the railroad tracks to be able to do things with their properties that make sense for the environment and their pocketbook at the same time. Did I miss anything? No, thanks. Okay, Sandstone, Hinckley, Pine City Fire Study.
Dave, you were there. Do you want to give the update? Or-
Well, when they talked about, the committee when the committee gets together, there's people, there's elected officials, there's firemen, there's chiefs, there's mayors, there's just a lot of different people there. A lot of the discussion is that we've had in the past was talking about some of the different things that we can do as the three towns to try to, well, we basically look at all the problems that everybody's having. We talk a lot about that, but we don't talk about solutions. We're just, right now they're in the process, and I missed about the last 3 or 4 meetings because of medical reasons, but they had the fire chiefs bring in estimates of what their value of their fire departments are. And from the buildings down to the trucks and the material and the equipment and the hoses and that kind of stuff. And we found there's just a lot of money there. I mean, it really is. And then also, I think they're going to look at needs in the future. Wasn't that what some of the talk, or was I?
Yeah. So we all get our own homework.
Yeah.
So I know, like, Tom gets homework, I get homework. I don't know if you've gotten homework yet,
No,
but
they didn't give me.
and then we just bring it back to the next meeting. I know that we put together the official statement, so
Right.
that'll be coming on the next agenda. It's pretty finalized, but we're kind of doing it so all councils will get it at the same within
We'll
a
put
week
it out the same.
within a week of each other. And then it'll go public as well, so for council just to see where we're at and give their approval to continue.
Sounds like these have been very productive meetings.
There's a lot of good discussion there. There was a lot of, sometimes they get off into the weeds, and I guess I got off in the weeds a couple of times there and talking about, when they start talking about history and stuff, and I'm probably the oldest thing there except for the dirt outside the Hinckley Fire Hall. But, so there's a lot of history talked about, but we have a new state representative that started. When did he come? Was that his second meeting?
No, this is like his third or fourth.
He's the
Is it Pat?
yeah, he's the
Pat,
current
yeah.
fire chief at North Branch, but he also now is a state fire marshal. and comes with a lot of good knowledge.
He
And,
reels me in the weeds every once.
oh yeah, he reeled us all in the weeds there a couple times. He puts on he's there just basically to direct us, to control the meeting, to keep us going in the right direction, and he seems to have that down pretty good. And he also brings in some good points, talks about some good points. One of the things to remember or think about is that we're just one of several communities or several groups of communities in the state that are in the same process, doing the same process. There's a lot of what we're experiencing with our townships and the disagreements on costs and stuff. Everybody's experiencing that, and the expenses of running any city and we just seen that when we talked about our wish list. You know, it'd be nice if we could just snap our fingers and get a big windfall, but that's not going to happen. I follow the legislative process pretty close, and the stuff that's going to be given out is all pork this year. Just about all of it's all pork. I just hope we get a piece of that pork, and I'm not really confident we're going to get it. It's a tough budget year, and it's going to be a lot tougher in the next biennium. So we're going to really have to watch our P's and Q's and hopefully qualify. That's why I think it's stressing grants and things, if they're out there and we have a chance to go after them, don't hesitate, because we're going to need every dollar that we can get our hands on. And hopefully our state aid, whether it stays where it is or it gets bigger. We need more people, so encourage people to have babies. It probably won't go very far. We need to get over 5,000 people. Yeah, that's where I'm going. That's annexation, I think, is a good topic. I think we'll probably be talking about that. I really like that topic. I think it's important.
Oh, that's what we're doing
Yeah.
at our next meeting. Bringing the contract formulas.
Right.
So we're all
Right.
on, yeah.
Yeah, that's I was just gonna say, but that's fine. You think of anything else?
Good job.
Because we kind of hold it to a certain time frame.
Yeah.
And it's, we cut it off right there, because otherwise,
Except
would-
for the last.
we would be there. Yeah.
All right.
And I missed 2 deer on the way home. Just about, I think I got them both, but not very hard.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah.
Upcoming committee agendas, got the liquor committee agenda. Any
June 16th.
feedback?
That's
on that?
still on. Yeah, we haven't had a meeting for what, 4 months? I feel kind of bad about that. I'm the only surviving member that is on that committee, so I've had a lot of problems with scheduling, but I'm
that a
committed to
Thursday?
this one.
A Tuesday, okay.
Yeah, I'm committed to this one, and hopefully, do we have the rest of the committee?
We have some people who are thinking about joining our committee that will be there.
Okay.
Oh,
good,
nice.
Good. All right, okay, and your agenda is gonna come out.
It's right there for review.
Oh, okay.
But it'll come out to the group on, I'll probably do it tomorrow.
Right.
Or Friday, because I won't be around.
Yeah.
I'm teaching in Hinkley next week, so,
Lifeguard,
yeah, like for the
thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. That's
All right.
important.
Any work session planning coming up?
We're gonna talk about setting time for a
Budget, I think we should.
but Kent's not here, so.
Kent's not here. We should wait till the next meeting.
Let's set it then. We'll bring more back.
Yeah.
Regarding the budget and then set.
I don't want to try to guess his schedule.
We might have a better idea if I need to bring cake or not.
Yeah.
I did reach out to him today. We did find out HRA, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, HRA is complete, so.
Oh, yay.
Okay, but that's a good sign, so.
Okay, good.
Mayor's not here for mayor's report. Council concerns, any? If not, I'd like for a motion to adjourn.
We'll move.
Second.
Motion by Kyle, second by Dave. Any further discussion? Not. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
7:49.